Why are you excited to be here tonight?
Because I'm just excited.
Yeah. No other explanation. Now, I do believe, tell me the truth, is it true that your dad has a ringside seat but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah.
See, he's awesome! Yeah! Give it up for Claire. Thank you so much, Claire. High five. Yeah!
Can you believe that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast? Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion. And I'm Kenzie Paige, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again? Podcast, period. Or you're ugly. You're ugly power approved. Alright.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. And today, we have a special treat. A good friend of the show, hell, the best friend of the show, Mr. Jeremiah Plunkett, has decided to join us as and participate in the pre-party and talk all things NWA. JP, how's it going, brother?
Going good, man. Ready to pregame with everybody.
Yeah, crack open a cold one and let's go, right? We got a new season of Power, and I know the matches were filmed on just Saturday, so we're gonna see some new faces with the NWA. Of course, there's been some some of the familiar faces aren't gonna be there. JP, you're not gonna be on this this run of the season, right?
I was not there Saturday. No, I was in Cynthiana, Kentucky, helping Larry D wish farewell to a long wrestling career.
Oh, Larry D, that was his retirement match, right?
Yeah, him and Moose.
Moose, what a great opponent to end it on, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, no, it was a great event, man. We it was one of those where we had to lie to the fire marshal about how many people were there. It was good.
That reminds me of the old Sawmill days. Lie about who was there and put the main event on in the middle of the card, right?
Yeah, no, that's happened before, absolutely.
Well, I heard that's how somebody defended the world challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. They put that match on early, make sure that didn't get canceled, right?
Yep. I found that out. Found that out after the fact. I didn't know that's why we were in the middle, but yeah.
For those of you who didn't listen to that podcast, it's help me out with the name, JP. Give Me Back My Wrestling.
Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling. Yeah, Jimmy Street did a podcast with myself and NWA Saw promoter Tim Thompson. Mostly Tim. He kind of took over.
He liked to talk.
Yeah. I think he had some stuff to get off his chest.
Well, they mentioned that you were the guy that they wanted to have that world title match with Satoshi Kojima. They wanted to put you in that match, but the reason why they put you early on the card is because they were concerned that the fire marshals would come and shut down the entire show, right?
Yeah, each time they came, they would add like, 2 more people in there, and there was literally people around back, like buying standing room only tickets. So, yeah.
I mean, great for business, but not so great for everyone trying to get in there and watch the show. Of course, it's not like Kojima comes to town every day to defend the 10 pounds of gold. And we've talked about this before on this podcast, but that was one of those. I don't want to say it was the top achievement of your life, but that was pretty high up on the list, right?
Oh, it was definitely high up, probably at least in top 5, if not top 3.
And for that moment, that was pretty cool. But going back to Larry D's retirement show, obviously you were wrestling that night?
Yeah. Wrestled in a battle royal to get a shot in a triple threat against a guy named Aaron Williams. Don't know if you're familiar with him. And Pompano Joe for a #1 contender shot for the Generation Next Pro Wrestling heavyweight title. And your boy came out on top.
Nice. So there will be some opportunities for gold coming soon to Mr. JP. And then at the tapings, it wasn't like you weren't the only one there. There's a lot of folks who weren't there. Like I was in Tijuana on Saturday night, and I was watching a variation of La Rebelión, Bestia 666 teaming with Rey Horas. So they didn't make the show either. So Mecha Wolf and Bestia were not there. And I think I from what I heard, there's a couple of tag teams that didn't, or not tag teams, but a couple of regulars who didn't appear on those tapings.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a shakeup of the normal roster, but some really good people coming in. Carnies were out. The Heatseekers are on tonight's Power. Always love those two tag teams coming in. I guess 4 guys.
Yeah, the Heatseekers are 4-time, and it's gonna be weird for a lot of the new viewers of Power who haven't been following the NWA for a while. Those guys held the titles 4 times, the world tag titles, and it's very much akin to like a lot of the achievements from Jack Stane all happened before the Lightning One era. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, these guys did this, but that was before we were running things here now. So it'll be interesting to see if they allude to that, if they recommend that, or not recommend it, but bring it up. A lot of people probably don't realize either that although the Heatseekers did appear on the Crockett Cup 2 years in a row, this is the first time they've been on Power.
Yeah, it is.
And it's kind of neat because there is that divide. The pay-per-views are kind of specific to that pay-per-view audience, where Power is available to everyone on YouTube. So it's kind of I'm not going to necessarily say it's a bigger deal, but it's kind of like you're reaching even a newer audience for the Heatseekers.
Yeah, definitely more eyes. Opportunity for more eyes on Power.
So, and then we have some pretty good matches lined up for tonight. Now, as someone who, not only are you heavily involved in the product, but you're also like, you compete. You're not just somebody who's spectating, but you compete. What do you think of the current crop of champions we have on this roster right now with the NWA? I mean, this is the second pay-per-view in this new era now, with EC3 becoming the world's heavyweight champion, now having his first successful pay-per-view defense. We have the Thrillbilly as your national champion, also his first successful defense on pay-per-view. Well, actually, no, I guess it's the second successful defense. We have, of course, Pretty Empowered, the tag team champions. Also Kenzie, the women's world champion. Max, the TV champion. Mims, the TV champion. Even new U.S. tag champions. How do you feel about this core of the tag team champions? Excuse me, this core of champions on the season of Power?
I don't know. I think everybody's extremely solid. I mean, EC3 has been a world champion. What is this? His third world championship reign?
Yeah, he had two in Impact, right?
Right. Yeah.
TNA and then Impact, and
yeah. So I mean, EC3 is a proven world champion. He's excellent. The man has transformed himself multiple times. I think it's in good hands there. Silas is insane, and there's nobody going to stop him. He's been riding since he debuted. He's just been riding a rocket straight up.
Yeah.
Nobody's stopping that. Pretty Empowered have had a deathlock on those women's tag team titles, whichever variation.
Right.
They've had a death grip on it. Kenzie Paige winning the World's Women's Championship was just a matter of time. You know what I mean? Max is a dominant force, so that's not surprising.
Mm-mm.
This is a little close to my heart because Mims came out of the training school that I was coaching at, so that was awesome to see. And what am I missing?
We got the U.S. Tag Champions, the Immortals. I think that's what they're calling them.
Look at them.
Oh, and we forgot about Blunt Force Trauma. Of course, they'll be wrestling in action tonight.
Ditto. Look at them.
Yeah.
And Aron Stevens.
And Aron Stevens. Now, when you're backstage, or even maybe when you're at home watching the program come together, how does it feel when you were there and witnessing what goes into putting out the product? You know what I mean? Like, you were there for the recording of the segments or backstage interviews, and then when you see it all come together on Power on YouTube, is there a sense of accomplishment for the whole program, or is it just specific to your segments and the matches that you're involved with?
You know, going in, you always worry about your stuff. And in the past 3 years, I think what I've learned is a newfound respect for all the people who hold the cameras, all the people who do the cuts. Billy Trask, I don't know how he does what he does, but the editing, all the people producing backstage. Not coming from that prior to NWA, I've done TV, but on a much smaller level, OVW, NWA Saw, stuff like that. Where it's a really skeleton crew, and that's being generous.
Yeah.
Just the work that the production guys do, you get a whole new respect for that. And the turnaround on some of these too. I mean, they just taped Saturday. It's Tuesday, and we've got an episode going live to air. For this level of the company, I mean, that's a pretty quick turnaround. I mean, of course, the WWE, AEW, they do that effortlessly, but you're talking about multi-billion-dollar corporations, and we're talking about, Billy Corgan's NWA. It's not exactly the same thing. So it's good to see the quick turnaround. And and the funny thing is I'm not asking you to speak out against anything, but man, there were still some matches in the can from the last set of tapings. I kind of wish they would have showed some of those during last week's recap show. Yeah, I've been involved in a few matches that never made air, and some where I've taken some pretty crazy bumps.
Oh, so we missed out on those.
There's a match there with me and Jax Dane from Atlanta where we killed each other, and then it never saw the light of day.
That's the worst. Jack's another really good guy. We like Jax here on this on the pre-party. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about, obviously, the news has been out there about the territories. Of course, EC3's promotion, Exodus Pro, is the first announced promotion, with many more to come, and a lot of us have an idea who number 2 might be. Right in that great state of Tennessee with you. But let's talk about Exodus Pro. I know that you've been helping out with kind of scouting out talent and kind of setting up these opportunities for some new faces for the NWA. What's the experience been like working with Billy, working with Tom, working with EC3, and the whole scouting process and getting new trainees and new faces into the NWA?
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. Wasn't expecting to be asked. It's kind of cool. We did the open tryout for the first, I guess, no, I'm sorry, it'd been the second Exodus Pro Show. First one under NWA banners, or where the announcement was made anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man, it was cool that we had a big turnout. I think there was 44, 45, people looking for their shot. And it was a two-day affair. One night they did their deal in front of us, and then the next day they did it in front of the boss man. But it was wild, man. Everybody was motivated. Everybody listened to advice. Everyone was extremely coachable, which, as a coach myself, that's a big thing. As soon as you get the yeah buts, you don't want to help. But we didn't get any of that, and people are just really hungry to be a part of the product.
That's awesome. As a fan of the NWA, I mean, that's kind of what we all want, right? We want to see that the desire from talent to come to the NWA. So often, even in our own chat rooms here, like you'll see guys like, oh, the NWA should bring this guy in, or the NWA should bring that guy in. And it's like, well, it's a two-way street, right? Like, Billy can offer somebody an opportunity, but they have to be willing to take that opportunity. And not every talent wants to come work for the NWA. It's kind of a weird dichotomy with the fans. We're so overzealous about, we want to see our favorite talents appear, but it's like, well, some of them just aren't going to, and that's okay.
Yeah, and I think fans also don't understand that not all companies have an endless supply of money to bring some. I see a lot of people are like, CM Punk should come to NWA, and I would love to him there. But man, there's a budget.
I think I'm not trying to be I'm not privy to Billy's fortune, but I don't think he wants to part with as much as it would take to have CM Punk show up on the roster. I mean, if the guy's willing to work cheap, but he's not working for a hot dog and a handshake, that's for sure.
Right? No, absolutely. I mean, they want, if the NWA is going to stay around, they have to do things within a budget. They have to be responsible. It's just business.
And Billy's no Tony Khan. He doesn't have billions of dollars. I mean, he's a wealthy man, but he's not Tony Khan. He's not Endeavor. So anyone who thinks like, oh, they should just sign so and so, it's like, that doesn't work like that, guys. And I always try to stress the economics of pro wrestling too, like, because there's always that ROI. And without getting too, to steal Billy's term, behind baseball here, yes, CM Punk would be amazing for the NWA. He would be huge. He would be a draw. But how much would it cost to get him in your ring versus how much is he going to actually bring cash flow back into the NWA? And I don't even think it would be close. And that's not to insult anybody in the picture or anybody in the NWA, but still, it's still such a it's growing and it's becoming a bigger company, but it's not there yet. And I think if you were to do something like pull CM Punk in, I think it would really damage the future, because you're putting so much money on one person where you could be growing the company with multiple younger talents.
Yeah, and you can establish and make your own stars that way.
And I feel like that's what the NWA is doing right now. When we look at Kerry Morton, we look at your boy AT and Silas Mason. That whole Southern Six is like the homegrown thing. You look at Pretty Empowered, again, another homegrown thing. It's like those six folks just right there are all completely homegrown within this NWA. I mean, Silas not really homegrown in this NWA, but I mean, it's kind of where he's getting his spotlight, right?
Yeah, it's where he's being broadcast into a much larger atmosphere, much larger stratosphere for everybody to see. What we saw in East Tennessee towns having fun in front of a couple hundred people, you know what I mean? Now everybody's seeing what we were seeing there on a grand stage. Yeah.
Well, what did you think about teaming up with Mario Pardua at the set of tapings? That seemed to kind of here, let's see if this sticks. Let's try this out. How did that match come about for you, and were you happy with it?
Yeah, so I'm always looking for an opportunity, no matter who it's with, and sometimes you just catch lightning in a bottle. Mario's the same way. Mario's looking for a shot. Mario's looking for an opportunity, and look at the guy. He looks great.
Yeah,
athletic. maybe we'd click. And I mean, with some coaching, like I said, you know, I did an interview for leading up into Power, and he could be a ringer. He just needs a little of that experience under him.
Yeah. With that being said, what about your boy Rush Freeman? I mean, he's available now. You want to reunite some of the old ill-begotten days?
So I've been wrestling a long time, so my back's not as strong as it used to be. I don't know if I could carry Rush.
I've only got to speak to Rush a handful of times, and he probably doesn't know me from anybody else, but he seems like a nice guy. Is this just a rib? Is everyone just ribbing this guy, or is it that bad?
He's an extremely, extremely nice guy. He came out of the same training school Mims did. I've known him since day one. He's too nice for wrestling. Lord, you know those people who just don't see social cues.
Yes.
That's Rush, but no, he's a sweetheart of a guy. You know, maybe a serial killer though. He moves around.
Is he pouring milk on top of the cereal when it's already in the bowl? Or excuse me, is he pouring the cereal on top of the milk?
I mean, I don't know about that, but he did bring a tuna sandwich on the last flight when he was coming into town.
You don't ever bring fish on an airplane. You never bring fish to work, and you never bring fish on an airplane. That's like, these are rules.
And he posted about it happily on social media that he's eating tuna fish sandwich.
My condolences, Rush. Anyways, getting back to the territories. Obviously, I think this is a great opportunity for the NWA because they're, again, being able to scout some new faces and also give opportunity for places for guys to work while still within that NWA structure. What are your thoughts on the territory system for the NWA? And is this something that you think is going to be a movement that's going to help find new talent or help establish already existing stars, or a little bit of both?
So I think a little bit of both. When I look at it, it reminds me a bit of the prior NWA.
Yeah.
I guess you would call it licensing. I don't know. The NWA will be involved in their name, but it'll also have the opportunity for NWA talent to be booked on those shows to hopefully help increase crowds. But the NWA is also going to see any show they do. So
right.
Interesting to see catch a diamond in the rough that's on the regular roster. There's an opportunity for them to come up to Power. And from my understanding, the champions.
Uh-oh. JP, I think we lost you there. I'm going to try to complete your thought for you, JP. Okay, you froze for a second there, so we didn't hear what you said. It was your understanding that the champions would
be have opportunities on Power as well. So, like, for instance, the XO Pro, the NWA, I think they said that was going to be the
Midwest champion
would defend. So, I mean, not every time, but obviously would have that opportunity for that title to be defended on Power. So,
yeah,
that open up the world to seeing, hey, this guy can be seen in Cleveland, Ohio at XO Pro. They become a fan of that guy. Maybe they buy tickets there. I can see it being a win-win for all involved.
Now, my next question, and if there's these things that you can't answer, feel free to say you can't answer, because we're all just kind of hoping and wishing and waiting. But what do you know about the TV deal that we keep hearing about? There's little bits and pieces that are being dropped by people who say that they're sources, and I've been very reluctant to give credence to any of those sources, because until it's the NWA or Billy or the network that they're going to be on, I try not to get too overexcited. Have you heard anything that you could possibly share about the TV deal?
I've heard nothing but rumor from like the boys talking in the back.
Yeah.
Or the news was quote unquote broke. I've heard like 3 different networks prior.
Yeah.
So when the the House of Wrestling news broke, that was the first like semi maybe thing I've heard.
Yeah.
Saturday, so I don't know if anything was announced Saturday. But yeah, no, I really don't have any definitive answers. I tell people this because I get asked this a lot. You've got the totem pole, and then you've got the bottom of the totem pole. I'm meant that's the foundation, so it has to go through a lot before it gets to me.
That's fair. I completely understand that. The House of Wrestling news really bothered me. Mostly because when I called him out on it, I said, "Hey, man, what's your source?" Because I'll be honest, I have sources too, JP, and I've heard multiple stories and I've heard a lot of innuendo, but none of it I can source. None of it I can say, "Here's what so and so told me." Yeah. It's all just hearsay, or I can't spill the beans because it would get somebody in trouble. So it just stays here. And I'm saying, "Well, what's your source, buddy? Where are you getting this from?" And he says, "Oh, I can't reveal my source." If you can't reveal your source, it's not a very reliable source. And then they said, "I am the source." What? It's not how it works. So that whole House of Wrestling, that to me, that's just a rag. And you know, I got to call it like I see it. You know, as somebody who does report news, I never report something that I can't actually give you a source to provide that information. So that bothers me. I had to get that off my chest. Thank you for listening. So this week's Power, we have some pretty cool matches lined up. Now you weren't there, so these are all going to be new for you too, right?
Yeah.
And this thing is not. If you guys can't tell, I'm broadcasting from my office at work, so it's a little bit more touch and go. But first thing first, I think it's always good to see your champions in action. And the NWA tends to put that TV title match on first. We have Missa Kate taking on Max the Impaler. Max the Impaler has been one of the most dominant champions, one of the most dominant forces in wrestling in the NWA. I mean, she's taking on Missa Kate, who I have a lot of respect for as well. I got to see Missa Kate not only in an NWA ring, but also I went to one of the St. Louis shows that she was at before the 75th anniversary show, and she's just such a gifted athlete. And I have to ask you, you know, JP, you get to watch them wrestle. I mean, you weren't there, but you've seen them both wrestle, and you're someone who is good at training and understanding the dynamics of pro wrestling. What do you think about both of these talents, and what do you think about this matchup?
Missa Kate's amazing. She's one of my favorite on the women's roster to watch. 100%.
Yep.
She's not only just a good wrestler, she's kind of gritty. She's got a lot of attitude, and she hits hard. It's Max.
It's Max.
And she literally has the devil in her corner.
That's true. And Max, you know, and everyone in the chat probably knows this. Max was just in Japan just a couple of weeks ago, where she became a dual champion by winning the TJPW Princess Championship. So now Max holds 2 titles, which is impressive. And I guess Max will be defending that TJPW Championship in the UK very soon as well. So Max is definitely on the rise, very prominent, very still a force to be reckoned with. Any predictions on this one?
Well, like I said, there's a but it's a big but because it is Max.
Max is...
Much as I like Missa, and I think it's a great fight, more than some, I gotta call it for Max. Again, what you said about Missa Kate, the grit and the attitude, she's not gonna. I didn't see the match live. I wasn't there, but I feel like she's not going to be the one that hides from Max or runs from Max. But I feel and I hope, because this is the Missa Kate that I've grown accustomed to, that she'll come and take the fight to Max, whether win, lose, or draw. She's going to go out there and put herself out there. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, I'd be surprised if Missa Kate didn't kick Max right in the face, but I'd also be surprised if Max didn't just shake it off.
Or if Max just swallowed the foot and started swallowing the leg and then everything else. The next match, again featuring your pal AT, taking on the Heatseekers. It's the Southern Six versus the Heatseekers. AT and Kerry Morton versus Sigmon and oh gosh, his name just escaped me. You know his name.
Okay.
What's his name? Help me out.
Elliot Russell.
Elliot Russell. I see. Russell was there. You leave me on the hook to hang there, man. You're familiar with all four of these guys. This is very much a Tennessee wrestling match right here. If you guys are in the watching the indies in Tennessee, these guys are on cards throughout the state. Tell me about this one. Of course, I know you have a voting interest, a rooting interest for Alex Taylor, but what do you think about this one?
Sigmon and Elliot are one of the most accomplished tag teams on the independent circuit, 100%. Like you said, 4-time NWA World Tag Team Champions. They're tag team champions everywhere they wrestle. They've got the miles under them. They've got they've got years together, like far more than Alex and Kerry.
Yeah,
they've been a team for a long, long time, and they're a well-oiled machine. But the Southern Six is riding a high right now that, what is it? It's hard to stop momentum, man. And
yeah.
A lot of momentum in the NWA.
Well, I was talking to I was not Thrillbilly. I was talking to Poyle Del Mar this weekend with how the Southern Six has grown. And, Poyle mentioned like how she felt like she thought her and Thrillbilly still had some gas left in the tank, but that Southern Six was such fire and had so much steam in Australia that it kind of just took everything over, and it might have even changed some of the plans in the front office because it was so popular. And as someone who was just a spectator watching and clips and stories on TikTok, man, I fell in love with the trio out there in Australia, and I thought it was great. So I'm still kind of excited to see what happens next for the trio with Silas and Kerry and Alex, and who knows, maybe there's another junior heavyweight title run for the Southern Six with Alex. Maybe Alex and Kerry can chase those the U.S. tag titles. I mean, anything's really possible, right?
Yeah, I am a little curious because if you hear when they talk in their podium segments or their backstage interviews, both Silas and Kerry keep calling out EC3.
Yeah.
So if one of them is to get the title, I don't see the other one stepping back.
It'll be interesting to see what happens because you're right. That they both have called out EC3. Kerry has said multiple times that he's the next world's heavyweight champion. Silas gave his manifesto on this very podcast months ago, talking about being the next world's heavyweight champion. And it seems like at some point, if one of them win the title, what's going to happen to the existence of that Southern Six?
Yeah, and let's look at it right now. I mean, the fact is the national champion is the number one contender to the heavyweight title if he so chooses.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's something that, again, guys, listen to what JP's saying here. He's pointing out things that if we're overlooking, maybe you shouldn't be, because that could be a roadmap to the future of what's going to happen. Maybe not. Maybe.
He likes to run his mouth.
Speaking of run your mouth, how come I haven't heard you call out Mims to get a title shot yet?
Wait.
Enough said. I'm not trying to like swerve the legislature here, but I've been very much excited to see a you versus Mims for the TV title, one way or the other. I'd like to see that match happen. So if anyone's out there listening, take my money, please.
Hey, just wait.
Just wait. Another match we have tonight, the Women's World Champion will be in action. Kenzie Paige, in a non-title match, will be wrestling Taylor Rising. Now, I will say this, that in last season, Kenzie Paige was scheduled to have a non-title match. That quickly became a title match. So who knows if this will really be a non-title match or not. But Taylor Rising, she's new to the NWA. She made her debut at the 75th anniversary show. She was in a tag team with Natalia Markova. At the TV tapings, had the opportunity to challenge Pretty Empowered unsuccessfully for the women's tag titles. And of course, we know who Kenzie Paige is. She basically cut her teeth in the NWA and has really kind of grown with the brand. Tell me what your thoughts are. Tell me what your thoughts are on Taylor Rising, and tell me what you think about this match, JP.
So in Scout, like when I watch and I scout, Taylor's still a bit unknown to me, right? I haven't seen her nearly as much as I've seen Kenzie.
Right.
Taylor has all the makings to be a star. She's got the look. She's athletic. She's a tremendous wrestler. Kenzie has grown so much in such a short amount of time. Kenzie, and I told this to Kenzie, but those Pretty Empowered women don't take compliments well. She is the best women's striker I think I've ever seen.
Oh, that's a huge compliment.
And I mean that. And I haven't seen enough on Taylor to say Taylor over Kenzie. So I'm not going to. I'm going to go with what I know. But Taylor is extremely talented and could post an upset.
It is a non-title match, and you have to consider, does the champ take this match as serious as a title match? Kenzie is one of those talents who, again, if you open up a calendar and throw a dart, you're going to find a date where Kenzie Paige is wrestling. I mean, whether it be Crossfire or Joe Kazana Promotions or down there in Georgia for Southern Honor Wrestling, Kenzie has been very active as a women's world champion, and it's kind of, for me, it's nice to see the continuation of all the hard work that Camille did to establish the Burke as such a prominent title, where Camille took that belt everywhere. Like literally, she took it to Mexico, she took it to the UK, and she really fought to put some respect on that title, on that legacy. And then you've got Kenzie, who comes right in and is doing the same damn thing. And it's so, not Mexico yet, but who's to say that that's not down the road? I'm really proud of the work that Kenzie Paige has done, and I'm really excited to see what's next for her as Women's World Champion.
Yeah, and not only is Kenzie one of the busiest out there, if you watch this, most of the stuff she does on the independents outside of the NWA, she has beaten some of the top women in the game and some of the top men in the game.
Yeah. It's funny to me because, I guess funny is not the right word, but intergender wrestling is such a new concept for me as a fan, and I still don't know 100% how I feel about it, because sometimes I'm like, oh, well, the matchup makes sense, and sometimes I'm like, well, I don't like looking at a match where it feels like somebody's getting like physically assaulted, but there's a thin line there, and if it's done correctly, it can be very entertaining. And so it's just one of those deals where it's like, okay, let's see how this is going to go. But in the matches that I've seen Kenzie Paige in the ring with, somebody of the opposite gender, they end up having a pretty stellar match. And again, you have to celebrate the athlete and the wrestler that Kenzie Paige has become. I mean, I go back just seeing her on Power when she debuted, I think it was 2 years ago, right after the pandemic, 2021. And she has changed not only physically, but her in-ring awareness is so much better. Her wrestling just looks more crisp. And that's just saying it as a fan, not somebody like you who has the eye that is trained and knows what it takes to be a pro wrestler. Just as a fan, I could see that metamorphosis in her as a talent. So I guess I don't need to put her over any more than she already is, but big fan of what Kenzie has been able to do in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, she's definitely gone from just an excellent pro wrestler to a ring general.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so cool. Like again, I don't mean to keep putting her over, but like just that short amount of time, and whatever the future holds for Kenzie Paige, whether it be a long championship reign in the NWA or multiple championship reigns in the NWA or other pastures, I really feel like she has helped establish the women's division in the National Wrestling Alliance, along with, she didn't do it by herself, but she certainly is, at least part of that equation.
Yeah, and you got to think about this too. When she beat Camille didn't come out asking for another shot.
It very, very much, Camille took the route kind of like what Aldous did when Trevor Murdoch won the title, and said, "Okay, I'm going to step aside for a minute, and I'm going to see who else can contribute to this division." Camille has nothing more to prove. I mean, of course, being another champion, winning the title back again would be another feather in the hat, but it really doesn't solidify her career as a super megastar. I think she's already done everything she can do as far as the NWA goes. I mean, that's not to say that she's walking out the door or leaving anytime soon, but like I just feel like there's nothing that she can do now that would make her even a bigger talent. And now it's the matchups, right? Now it's like you look for those big time money making matchups, like maybe her and a Tessa Blanchard, or her and, before Jade Cargill got signed, Jade Cargill would have been like a big draw for anybody.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Then the other match that is happening tonight, well, we're going to have our friends, I use that term loosely, friends in Pretty in Power. They'll be taking the podium. I will say this, and I've said it on the show lots of times, I'm a huge Ella Envy fan, but these girls are so good on the mic, and they have that je ne sais quoi. They have that mystery factor that I know a lot of people find it annoying, but I think in the world of wrestling, that's exactly what you want, is to have that annoying, grit on the, nails on the chalkboard, right?
They are every girl I hated in high school.
They're every girl that I ever loved in high school.
Fair.
Hey, Poyo's in the house, and she says hi.
Hi, Poyo.
Yeah. I didn't have time, but I had videos with Poyo. We filmed her. They did a Pride of the Desert show in Palm Springs, where they collected many talents of the LGBTQ plus community in Palm Springs to kick off Pride Week, and a lot of fun wrestling. Believe it or not, Ashton Starr, who's well known in Atlanta and Georgia, he won the tournament. I actually got to see him as part of Dave Marquez's Championship Wrestling from Atlanta, that short-lived run. And I thought he was a star then, and he's still pretty much the same guy he was then.
Ashton Starr.
Are you familiar with Ashton Starr?
Oh yeah.
Good talent. I think he was. He did. It wasn't a show so much to showcase pro wrestling, but trying to bring a new audience to what they were doing, and I thought it was really cool. And hopefully, Poyo will let us know that that's going to be happening again, because it was a fun event. But then the next match for tonight is going to be Blunt Force Trauma taking on Magic Inc. Again, another non-title match. But I mean, I'll say this: I didn't like Magic Inc. when they first were presented to me on television. I've seen Christy Janes elsewhere. I know she's a star. She has all the potential in the world. She could be a dominant force in the women's wrestling division. I wasn't a huge Jake Dumas fan, but this combination of Colby and Jake together with CJ has really started to grow on me. And I like, in the match, no offense, that you were involved with, I just thought, wow, this team is really working well together, and it's something that I can kind of start to buy into. You were in the ring with them. Tell me what your thoughts are about Magic Inc.
I think that when they are focused, they're a really good tag team. Magic Jake likes to entertain a bit too much, but he also knows some dirty tricks. So yeah. I think they're a really good tag team. But if you'll pull that, can you pull that graphic back up real quick?
Yeah.
It looks like Jake's already wrestled Blunt Force Trauma.
Yeah, it sure does.
And
I think
the match going is Magic Inc. getting beat up pretty badly. Could be wrong, but unless they trauma disappear, man, doesn't look good for Magic Inc.
I have to say that Blunt Force Trauma, I feel like, is way underutilized, I think, on the roster. And they're the tag team champions, so that's really saying something. I feel like they are so talented. The dudes underneath the mask, great guys, like those guys. But with the mask on, they're just complete assholes. And they're out there to beat people up. And, with Aron Stevens in the corner kind of calling the shots, it is very reminiscent of Doom. The masks kind of are the dead giveaway. But then you've got, you've got Stevens out there kind of. Someone told me that they thought Aron Stevens was a lot like Bobby the Brain Heenan. And I've always thought that he reminded me more of Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Where do you put, where would you slot Aron Stevens when it comes to managers? Who do you think he's most like?
See, so I can see both of those comparisons.
Yeah.
But I will side with Bobby because 100% gets the manage like a wrestler, wrestle like a manager.
Yeah.
Aron can do it all. I'm a massive Aron Stevens.
Poyle wanted to point out that she thinks that Aron Stevens is like Mr. Fuji, irritating and worthless. So, say that again.
Well seasoned.
Well seasoned. Well, Mr. Fuji kind of paved the way for was it Johnny Morrison and The Miz, right? Wasn't he their inspiration?
That one's lost on me. I might miss that one.
They used to do like and this is showing you how like long ago that I really paid attention to WWE. They had like a talk show, but I don't think it was on TV. I think it was an online only thing where they talked about the ways of Mr. Fuji. I don't know. I probably sound crazy to most people right now, but I swear it was a thing.
I'm gonna be looking that up now because I'm interested.
I think it was more to do with like it's just silly shit.
The horrible backstage ribs that Fuji would do.
Yeah, now I can't. Now I'm like falling apart because I can't remember exactly what they would do. But I'll just let it go. And I think Poyo's gonna rib me here in the chat. She's saying I can't even tell them apart. So we'll keep going. So from the sabbatical from the NWA, obviously you're not on the tapings this part of the season, and I think the rest of the season continues when they film in Florida later in the month. And I know Poyle wasn't a part of these tapings as well because, of course, she was in Palm Springs doing her own thing. What are you doing right now in preparation for your next opportunity with the NWA?
Well, the next opportunities I have with the NWA are I will actually be at NWA Exodus Pro coming up at the 1st of December, and I will be a part of not part of NWA, but I'll be in Joe Kazan Promotions next show coming up on the 2nd, which is a crazy turnaround from.
That's Cleveland to what, Knoxville?
Right outside, a little town called Coalfield.
Basically Knoxville. For us. Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
Sticks around Knoxville, yeah.
So that's what, like a 6-hour drive?
I think I clocked it at like nearly 7.5. So it's a.
But see, that's for the love of the game too, right? Because that's like those are making towns. That's what the boys did back in the days. You do one town, you drive to the next one, right?
Yeah, I've always kind of been that way, and sometimes I regret it. But
now, look, I know I'm older than you, and I've got the old man back now, and sitting in that car for more than 4 hours is kind of a pain in the ass. Do you find yourself getting like a little sore being in the car that long? Do you have to stop and take some stretch breaks, or you just good to fly on through?
I'm a lot smarter in my travel now, and yeah, I definitely do leave earlier, stop a little more often than I used to. Especially after that last car ride I had. I don't know. We're involved in a pretty nasty car wreck. The back's been tender. I'm getting it back and ready to go. But
Who was driving?
The Chicano kid Alejandro, one of the kids who came out of the Tried and True Academy School. It was he in the driver's seat, Alex Taylor up front, me in the back, and yeah, man, Alejandro actually saved us. It could have been a lot worse.
That's number one. Very happy to hear that everyone's okay. I know the car looked pretty rough. I saw on your social media and Alex's social media that car looked done. So thankful.
Hey, because we're taking selfies in front of a model car.
Well, luckily you got out of it okay. There's no serious injury. You missed the booking though, right? That's a bummer.
Yeah. It would have been one of those deals. One of the boys could have got us on the way down there, but who knows how we would have got back. So
Understood.
And as the adrenaline wore off, my back was not ready to bump and feed.
Totally get that. Totally understand that. So what's coming up next for you then? You said you've got the back-to-back dates in December for.
I think that's it. Holidays going on, and we just got our house finished. We're actually having family over at our house over Thanksgiving.
Oh, nice.
Crazy Friendsgiving 3 days afterward. We live out in the country and get as loud as we want, so it'll probably be some drunken debauchery.
Nice.
So yeah, no, things are relatively chill for this month, and they kick back up in December. And some of that has been by design. After the wreck, I'm going to take the next month kind of easy.
Yeah.
But I've got it filled with doing other stuff. My buddy runs a comedy podcast called LMA Owen. Name's Owen, so LMA Owen.
Nice.
And I'm going to do that. I don't know what it entails. He just said we'd be on my comedy podcast, and I'm like, sure, I'm not very funny, but we'll see how it goes.
Not true. You're very funny.
I was waiting for you to finish that.
I'm not an asshole, man. I'm a good guy. I'll put you over all day. I think you're funny. I think you're handsome. I think you're well spoken. You're practically a Harvard man over here. You're well educated. I got no bad things to say about JP. When you're a friend of the show, man, and it's kind of like the NWO. It's for life. We're all good. Poyo said, "I am an asshole though, so let me take this one."
Oh, Poyo will bury me all day long, but she'll do it to my face. So,
well, that's because Poyo's a true friend.
That's it.
It's when they talk shit behind your back, is that's when they're not a good person. But when they do it to your face, that means they love you.
Yeah.
At least that
about Poyo and Poyo's obsession with Mountain Dew, big gulps and stuff like that.
Mountain Dew big gulps?
Yeah, Poyo drinks more Mountain Dew than I've ever seen another human drink, and I live in the South.
But you don't have Poyo. You don't have access to like Monster Energy drinks or something. I know a company that has energy drinks. I can get you a sample.
See there.
Okay, here we go. So Poyo says, Jeremiah Plunkett is a true treasure. At least that's what I figured, because everyone's trying to bury him. Damn.
And they're doing a pretty darn good job, Poyo.
Damn.
That was good. I'm stealing that.
I was like, oh, this is sweet. Look at Poyo. Oh, Poyo's a sweetheart. And then boom, roasted.
I'm going to use that on Rush Freeman.
Well deserved. All right. So while we got you here, there's just a few more minutes left of the podcast. Tell me a funny rib that you guys have pulled recently.
Recently, there hasn't been a lot, but are you familiar with a referee used to ref for NWA Saw named Doug Markham?
The name sounds very familiar.
Bald gentleman, great dude, one of my closest friends. One night, me and Drew Haskins, who you remember, we were wrestling in a small town, Lewisburg, Tennessee, and I don't know, it was fun to rib. And I had a tiger bomb on my fingers.
Uh-oh.
Immediately, we did a deal. Lock up. Opponent drags me back. Break. Doug comes over. I go, Doug, you pulled my hair, and did that on Doug as I'm rubbing his head. Drew does the same thing, so he's got double doses of it. We get about 5 minutes into the match, and it's the middle of summer. It's hot and sweaty, so the pores are starting to open in his head. We've got brother in an arm bar, and Doug goes, "What you put on my head? Oh my God!"
And you can't do anything because you're stuck in the ring. You got to count the match. You got to be there for the pinfall and everything else. You can't go get a towel or something.
Yeah. So I'm a big harmless rib guy. Like if it's something small like that that's just kind of funny. There's some guys who take things really far. I've run 2 shows in my life.
Yeah.
So I had a belt, and as the main event's going on, I can't find the belt to sit out with the referee because someone's hit it.
Oh no!
I'm already, I've self-funded it and everything, so like I'm freaking out. And then one of the guys goes, "Here it is," and I just wanted to choke him.
So, right.
Well, like a harmless rib guy.
And you hear so many stories of like, hey, we ran a show and someone stole the title out of the back. I mean, that even happened at Wildside just a few years ago, where they had their world champion just won the title, then somebody stole the belt out of the locker room. It's like, what the fuck, man? Pardon my French, but geez.
That's not a rib. That's theft.
Yeah, and depending on how much, it's grand theft,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've never stolen or threatened to steal anything unless the promoter didn't pay me, and I thought about taking a top rope with me.
Different story altogether. Then how about, why don't you tell us something that happened that was funny that you want to share with us? Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you are.
Make us laugh, jokester.
It's just dumb stuff happening to me in matches. Like,
that's fun.
Like of the especially trying to look cool or badass. Like if I'm just not worried, just going to the ring, I'm fine. But if they're like, no, we need you to be really serious, I'll go out there, try to look cool or badass. I'll slip on the rope every time. I got it. I'm working in BFE, Kentucky, just like nowhere around. I'm darn near in West Virginia. And Bobby Blaze is on the show. I don't know if you remember him, Smoky Mountain guy.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about it, but I have to be the dreaded good guy. I hate it. It's not me. So I'm like, all right, well, good guys jump over the top rope 99 times out of 100. Perfect. Man, I lean back to do it. One hand slips off. I about fall off the ring. I jump. I clear it. I land and then fall on my ass.
Shit.
And I just immediately look at Bobby. And he's like, and I'm like, you're the one who made me be a good guy.
Poyle points out that Bobby is a 2-time Beat the Champ TV title holder.
Was.
That was like an encyclopedia right there, Poyle. That's good on you.
I believe he also held the junior heavyweight championship at Smoky Mountain. I may be wrong, though. That may have been a different territory. But, yeah, Bobby Blaze is awesome. But that was real cool. And as soon as the match was over, Bobby's like, match was good. You totally killed any chance of you getting a reaction right at the beginning. I was like, as soon as it happened, I'm like, well, they're not going to get behind me.
Did you ever see I see it a lot now on on the reels on Facebook and sometimes on Instagram and whatever, where the guy tries to enter the ring, and I almost think I know who this talent is, but I don't want to say his name in case I'm wrong. But it's a very big white male. He goes to step in the ring. He gets one foot over the top, and then he goes to put the other, but his foot isn't exactly planted, so he ends up bouncing on the rope and then flipping backwards and falling out of the ring. Have you seen that one?
Haven't seen that one. I have not seen that one. One of my favorites, though, is has to be north of 350 guy who thinks he's going to hit the Van Terminator.
Oh.
And he maybe makes it halfway.
Now you gotta, when you see it again, send it to me.
As soon as he's going up, I'm like, there's no way he's going to do this. And the people are coming up. The people think it's great. And then he just falls.
Amazing. Matthew Rodriguez, who I think is new to the show because I haven't seen him on before, but he says, question for Jeremiah, will you love to see these two wrestlers to be in new when their contracts expired, carrying Cross with Scarlett? Oh, I think he's asking if you would like to see them maybe in the NWA, carrying Cross with Scarlett and Shotzi.
And actually, you know what? He asked that same question on This is the NWA last night. Karrion Kross is an awesome talent. I mean, I don't know if he's anywhere near his contract being up or anything like that. I don't know that stuff. Karrion's an awesome talent. Scarlett's an awesome talent. Shotzi's an awesome talent. So, I mean, anytime awesome talent could be brought into the NWA, yeah, I think that's a good thing. Now, is he fantasy booking? Like, is that something that is not anywhere close to happening? So we're just kind of saying it. Then maybe I think, but you know, if it were to come, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like, I try not to get too excited about any free agent talent just because, again, it's that whole return on investment. You know, let's see what we can do with what we have first. And, you know, with all the opportunities, I hear people keep talking about the TV deal with CW, and it's like, guys, there was never an announced deal with CW. There's an announced deal that they have TV. Let it play out. Quit trying to rush to get the information because you're not getting it right. But I really appreciate you being on here, JP. This was a lot of fun. Definitely picked me up on this Tuesday, man. And again, you're always welcome to be on this podcast. When you are free, you let me know. We'll work you into it because it's always a blast having you on.
Man, that was a lot of fun. I'd love to do it again.
Plug your socials.
I am at Plunkitis on everything.
There it is. All right, brother. Well, be well, and everyone else, let's go watch some POWERRR. And I'm just looking for the show close. And then as soon as I find that, then I'll close the show. All right. And until next time, we'll see you at the matches. If it plays. Is it going to play?
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for checking out the pre-party, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA Power every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance blog. And until next time, we are